It is Sunday in the early morning, and I have the studio of Paul Cézanne in Aix-en-Provence for myself alone. Now, it is a small museum visited by many Cézanne admirers from all over the world. After the death of his father, Paul Cézanne had the financial means to build his own studio, according to his ideas. It is located on a hill, protected from the Mistral, back then with a view of Aix-en-Provence, and near its motifs in nature. 1902, 4 years before his death, he was able to move into the building. To the north, a large window provides even light in the studio. The simple-looking house has a small kitchen, a dining room, a relaxation room, and toilet on the ground floor. Upstairs is a studio. Paul Cézanne was able to paint outdoors in the garden. He did not want to live here, but only work undisturbed in peace. He also lived in the old town of Aix-en-Provence, and every day he shuttled on foot between his apartment and the studio. It was told that he received only a few visitors in his studio. There are objects typical for a studio here, which are presented in a museum, but do not always come from the estate. They are so impressively staged that they reflect the only atmosphere. It is a work of art that awakens the idea of returning to the time of Paul Cézanne. It is the objects such as the beret or the blouse he wore. The puto painted and drawn by him as a motif. The table with shawls and blankets. The onions and the fruit that Cézanne repeatedly needed to arrange his still life. He used the skulls as a dark motive to interpret death. Also his deck chair, the paint box, the easel, and the provision bag are not missing. He needed it when he went to the subject. The plan of him was to realize large paintings in the studio. On the rear wall, it has therefore installed a narrow high passage, so that the large format canvases pass through. His last imposing painting is The Great Bothers, which he completed here in the studio, 1906. Émile Bernard photographed him. proudly and contently sitting in front of it. Today the view of Aix-en-Provence is blown away by the strong vegetation and tall buildings. But Cézanne has recorded the view of the watercolors at the time. One can feel that he wanted to be alone in the atmosphere of his studio, to paint. Only his gardener, Vallier, a former sailor, was allowed to disturb him.